Welcome everybody to Ringsiders Wrestling, joined by a good friend of the show, someone we enjoy having on every time. I think it's third or fourth time now, we just can't keep you away. Joined by the manager of champions, Pollo. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me back. It's so exciting. Every time I come back, there's more and more and more to talk about, which is
Right?
a good thing. That's a good problem to have.
Every time we talk to you, like whether it's the PWI deal going on or now, I mean, we'll get into it definitely, but NWA, you've got a tag team that you manage, you've been non-stop. So let's start with that. I mean, busy end of 2021 for you. You're now managing a tag team, Money, Power, Respect.
Yeah, I actually started managing Money Power Respect last June. So that was starting to happen as so many other things were sort of taking like the attention, right? Like
Yeah.
that was happening as I was getting ready to go to EmPowerrr. That was happening as I was getting ready to go to Effie's Big Gay Brunch. So that was all happening here on the home front, but most of the attention was focused on where I was traveling to or what I was doing the big shows. So they are definitely Marco and Fab, Money Power Respect, are my homegrown talent, and we're doing this big together for
I
2024.
I love that. I remember what last time we spoke, you did mention that you wanted to get into more of the managerial roles in wrestling,
Yeah.
and it seems like everything you do set out to do, you do it in some form or another. It's like I don't believe in manifestation, but with you, I feel like it's a real thing. You've been doing non-stop good stuff, so I'm so happy to hear that you have taken up this managerial role. Uh, just tell us a little bit more about the tag team. I mean, to people who are unfamiliar with them, what are we looking at with this team? Are they an old school throwback? Are they? What can we expect?
Yeah. So I want to preface this by saying that my lifelong dream has been to manage a tag team. That was my life goal. And the person, though he is a lightning rod for controversy, especially in this day and age, the person who inspired me to want to do what I do was Jim Cornette. So obviously Jim Cornette, intimately associated and affiliated with a tag team, the greatest tag team. In fact, the greatest two
Yes.
tag teams of all time. And I mean that like the Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton version of Midnight Express, and then the Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey version of Midnight Express, the two greatest tag teams of all time, in my opinion. But Marco and Fab, so it's Mas Mejor Marco Mayor and Fabuloso Fabricio. They're Money, Power, Respect. When I saw them, they were already doing very well. They started tagging together in the end of 2020, so they've been together a little over a year now, going on 14 months. And I came into the picture back in, I want to say around June of 2021. I think that they are very much an old school type of tag team.
Yeah.
You know, we do not have the combination of the speed and strength. They're both bigger guys. They are definitely in the vein of kind of a bit of a brawler, a bit of a technician. My specific goal for them is, as we move forward, I watch a lot of tag team wrestling. And so I'm constantly sending them video clips like, I need you to learn this move. I need you to look at this, watch this match kind of thing. They are very focused on the now, the tag teams of the now.
Yep.
They watch a lot of that. That's not where my focus is. So I'm sending them video clips of like Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko together. Of course they're familiar with Tully and Arn, because you cannot be a tag team wrestler and not be familiar with Tully and Arn. But I'm like, watch this. But very specifically, because the style of wrestlers that each of them are, a lot of the stuff from Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko is it's eye-catching to me. I'm like, that's where we fall, the enforcers.
Yeah. What I love about this is what I'm hearing is you're a real life manager. It's not just a gimmick. You're
Yeah.
actually managing this team, saying, "Here's some guys you should check out. Here's some moves you should learn." You're actually managing this team.
You have no idea, because I got a text message from one of my longest time friends in pro wrestling here in Northern California. He's another manager, and for 4 years, he and I were embroiled in a feud, right? Like that, we were the two key nemesis is of a small promotion. Oh my gosh, I got dogs crawling all over me. This is Jasper.
Hi,
Um,
Jasper.
so we were like arch rivals, but we become very good friends.
Hmm.
And to pull back the curtain on that. So, but he sends me this text. He's like, dude, you know, manager is a gimmick, not a job, right? And I said, yeah, I suppose it is for some people. You know, like for some people, I'm sure it is a gimmick. Like, oh, meet me at the venue, and then whatever we're gonna do. But that is not how I approach this at all. And Marco and Fab would tell you that. Anybody who's actually seen us, I think that there are people around us, our friends, our other colleagues in wrestling, who are probably quite jealous, actually, of the relationship that I have with them, because I'll tell you, to kick off this year, I know I want to do big things in 2022.
Yeah.
It's going to be bigger than 2021. So, and it has to be for me. So I made our resumes and sent our resumes to 50 plus promotions and key people in the world of professional wrestling to either get eyes on us or elicit feedback. Like, Tommy Dreamer, what do you know, what, watch this stuff, look at this, tell us what you think. And Tommy wrote back to me, you know, like different things like that. I want to get eyes on Money, Power, Respect, and I want to get eyes on us as a unit.
Yep.
And it's already starting to take off, you know, like it's paying dividends. We are looking to be traveling to Las Vegas a lot more often. One of the goals that the boys wanted is because they are specific to Northern California. I've been very fortunate. I'm going to put that out there. I've been very fortunate. Things happen for me at a mind-blowing pace, and I'm getting to travel. But they've been based in Northern California for most of their career. And so we're getting ready to move. We're looking to go to Vegas, and we're going to be doing some turns like outside of California very soon, outside of the West Coast.
Yeah.
So the boys are very excited about that, and as am I, because I suppose I could hitch my wagon to somebody who's already, you know, a well-known name or whatever. And I have, like, I've worked with Jamie Senegal, I've worked with Dark Sheik, and those are people that I've managed before and continue to manage in case of Dark Sheik. But I think for me, it's going to be a lot more satisfying when I create a buzz for myself and another team. So
yeah,
Money, Power, Respect is it.
That's what I was saying. I love the way you're taking it seriously. You're a real life manager. You're doing what a manager would. It's not a gimmick. You're shipping off your resume to promotions. You're getting the bookings for your talent as a manager would. You're telling them to study the tapes and everything. I love that. And the fact you're doing it with a team that people might not be familiar with. When these guys take off, you know, you can say you had a part in their, you know, in their success, and that's what a manager should be doing, because, you know, it's the more bookings they get too, the more bookings you get as well. As a manager wants, they want a cut of that money too, you know. So it's not all about the money, but if you're looking at it from like you said, a Jim Cornette, an old school point of view, that's what a manager does. So yeah. I love that.
And we are being very successful in that, right? I mean, you know, Money, Power, Respect now currently holds 4 Northern California tag team titles simultaneously.
So when you say manager of champions, that's not a gimmick either. That's legit.
It is. And, you know, I also manage Dark Sheik. Dark Sheik is a champion. We are wrestling in about 7 different promotions. And of those, we hold titles currently in 5 that I can think of. So and those are the consistent ones, you know, that we're in all the time. It does not count the one-offs. Like we just did Pro Wrestling Unplugged down in Los Angeles. It was our first time together as a unit down there. And do I think that we could and will be champions there sooner rather than later? Absolutely. So that's really where my mindset is. I want to elevate the profile of these boys, of this team. I mean, they haven't announced it yet, but based on the online voting, spoiler alert, we are the Northern California Tag Team of the Year, voted by the fans and audiences. That information will be hopefully released in like 24 hours of this interview. But if there's some way that a team was able to overcome our 78% lead or something like that, you know,
then it's a
yeah, there's something really wrong there. So we have gathered the attention of audiences. I think that people are starting to appreciate us. And hopefully that means that we get to travel more places so more people appreciate us.
Well, I was just thinking as well, this sounds like it's a pretty full-time job, so I'm guessing you don't have any, you know, desire to manage more than one team at the moment. You're just seeing how it goes with Money, Power, Respect. You're not looking to take on any more for your roster of tag teams just yet.
I don't want to. I don't want a roster of tag teams. And even as I say that, interestingly enough, I manage a faction in Underground Wrestling Alliance. It's called the Agenda.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dark Sheik, Anton Voorhees, Money, Power, Respect. And even though we don't operate as such, Anton and Dark Sheik have been tag teaming for like a decade as the Caution. So it really is a conjunction of two different teams put together. But I am looking to build out the Agenda. The Agenda as a faction is something that I would like to see cross the West Coast, extend beyond the boundaries of any specific promotion. And I will say this, I have been in conversation with two of the people that I think are the fastest rising solo stars on the West Coast. I mean, it's certainly, if you're going to look at probably the 5 fastest rising stars on the West Coast, they would be 2 of them. And I think that chances are very likely that I'll be paired up with them in the very near future.
So what you're saying is maybe next time we speak in a few months, we might have some idea of who this is.
Yes. Even in like 6 weeks time, we might have an idea of who this is.
Okay, well, we might
there's a timeline. There's a timeline here.
We might have to get you on a bit sooner then, is what I'm hearing. If we want to get the scoop.
Well, I'm going to, this is not a complete scoop, but I will tell you that within about 6 to 8 weeks, there's going to be a profile of me in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. That's how much like moving and shaking the manager of champions.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking about like last time you came on, you hadn't actually debuted for the NWA, I believe, at that time. But one thing we did speak about was how much of a big fan of old school wrestling you are. Like, you're an encyclopedia of old school wrestling, and you know your love for old school wrestling is obviously evident in your tag team managing. But now, fast forward, you've debuted for the NWA. Tell us about how that must feel for you. You know, this company with such history, to now be part of that. How does that feel?
It is phenomenal to actually be part of the NWA family. And one of the things that I love about NWA is that whether you have made 1 or 2 appearances with them, as is the case for me right now, or you have worked with them consistently, the NWA treats its talent as family.
Yeah.
So I love that. You know, like and what I mean by that is that the National Wrestling Alliance has had such a broad history of working relationships for generations. So you will see, you know, people, for example, on their social media, they celebrate everybody's birthday. When it's somebody's birthday, they announce, and they do a whole graphic for it and everything. So you'll see people that a lot of general fans, like casual fans, probably associate with WWF, back in the day, or great legends that may not seem like part of the NWA family, but the NWA has such these rich ties in history. So to be part of the tapestry of that is kind of mind-blowing. And I did EmPowerrr, and that was, I mean, I knew it was going to be a one-off for that moment. And I'm still waiting for the opportunity to become part of that fold in a more ongoing basis.
Yeah.
But I just turned around and did a show for NWA down in Jacksonville at the beginning of the year, January 8th, I believe it was. And that was their Duval Brawl 4, which was headlined by WWE legend Gangrel taking on Trevor Murdoch for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah,
it was a show promoted and produced by the Pope, Elijah Burke, who I've become very good friends with. I met him at EmPowerrr, and we become like really good pals. And I actually am his podcast co-host every Saturday.
I met Elijah Burke in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. He was hosting some party in one of the bars, and he was the nicest guy ever. I could not believe it. He actually came up to us and said, "Hey, do you want to come in and stuff?" And I was like, "Absolutely, a party with the Pope, yeah." He was such a nice guy.
Yeah, well, that's his public persona.
Right.
he's a dick behind the scenes, but yeah, he's a really nice guy. But he always, I was like, why you always bully me, Pope? Why you always push me around? He's very particular in the way he does things, and it's like, I'm like, well, you just take the control and I'll just show up. But it was such a wonderful opportunity to be back with NWA and back with the NWA family. Like on that show, there was JTG and Sal Renaro, Trevor Murdoch, Crimson,
Mhm.
you know, of course we had Kyle Davis and Joe Galley, two of the voices of National Wrestling Alliance, and then there was the Pope there. And something that I will tell you to put it in perspective, like I was, believe it or not, I get nervous doing, new shows, new environments, because my gimmick is very specific, right? It's very, very specific. And without being told so, I know that gimmick is not going to fly the way in some places that it would in others.
Sure.
So I'm always a little nervous going into a new environment. And so I was in that locker room down in Jacksonville, and everybody was being super nice for sure. But I was right by the door talking to one of my pals, my pal Ashton Starr, who I love. Ashton Starr, amazing. Shout out to you. Mm-hmm. But the door opened behind me, and I turned, and Trevor Murdoch walks in with his bags, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And I was like, "Hey, Trevor," and he turned. Excuse me, because I was like right behind the door. He turned and his face just lit up, and he was like, "Hey, good to see you again." And it made me feel so good, right? Because number one, I mean, obviously, to put it in a little perspective, I'm kind of hard to forget because I'm that person.
I get what you mean. Absolutely, yeah.
But at the same time, he couldn't fake the obvious, like, "Oh, hey," because we'd had a great conversation at NWA 73 and EmPowerrr, and the fact that obviously that left an impression on him that made him light up. It made me feel really good, and it made me feel very welcome. When the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion is cool with it, we're cool.
And he's such a throwback as well. When we're talking about guys like Harley Race, etc., he, to me, embodies what the NWA is. Like, he's that ultimate throwback. And to me, I don't get how he does it, but when I started watching Trevor Murdoch in 2005 or whatever, when I was like 16, I thought he was about 40 then, and now, no disrespect to him, because he still only looks about 40, but I was like, how have you not aged?
Well, he is that rare type of person, and you can add like an Arn Anderson
exactly
to this too. Arn Anderson started
looking
wrestling looking exactly like Arn Anderson ended wrestling looking. Trevor Murdoch has that. I think part of it is because he's a good old country boy, and I think part of it is because he's an old soul, probably. And I think another part of it is that he doesn't. No offense, Trevor, but he's not like that. Like that movie star looks that sometimes ages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he has a look that is going to remain pretty much the same, and we can see that. We've seen that like with Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes didn't change too much or noticeably. There's a lot of people who sort of stayed in that vein, but I think that Trevor Murdoch definitely looked older than his age. I think he still looks a little bit. No, maybe he looks age appropriate.
He's only relatively young, though, isn't he? I believe he's only in his early 40s.
I don't even know that he's that old. I'm not sure exactly how old Trevor is, but I would say maybe late 30s. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, it can't be.
Keep talking. I'm googling it right now.
He's not that old. I know that. See, on the spot research, this is great.
Exactly. According to this, he was born in 1980. So 41.
41. Whatever he's doing good. I mean, like I said,
and whatever he was doing then, he was doing bad, because he still now looks the same as he did then.
Yeah, this is true.
but I'm that person too. If you look at old photos of me, you know, I like I when I was in college, I felt like I look older than I do now.
Yeah.
In some cases, and certainly when you looked at me in my 20s, like, I mean, I still feel like I look fairly the same, but my just better skincare now.
I completely agree. I saw a picture of myself from 10 years ago, a few days ago, and I look about 12, honestly. Without the facial hair and the beard or whatever, I look about 12. But I somehow also looked a bit older. I think growing out the hair has made me look a bit younger. So I'm going to stick with this, I think. Like, because
Well,
Jamie's done the
go
same
ahead.
thing. He's grown his hair out, and he looks younger as well. I don't know what it is.
Well, then I'm screwed because I can't do it. Uh, but I guess, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, you definitely look exactly like Courtney Cox and Friends.
I do, don't I?
You do.
I don't know if that's a good thing though. I don't know if that's what I'm going for when I was like
I mean,
looking
if
at
you
the
want
mirror.
to,
I wasn't
if you
thinking,
want
oh,
to,
Courtney Cox, that's my inspiration, you know.
if you want to get screwed by David Arquette,
I mean, I'd like him on the show. I don't know. I don't know if that's the price I'm willing to pay, but we'll find out. But yeah, speaking about the NWA and stuff and those throwback wrestlers, what's it been like hanging in? Well, I know you've only been there a few times and not for too long yet, but what's it like being in that locker room in general, having that history? Is there anyone that you've met which is like that has been on your bucket list to meet that you finally got to meet through the NWA?
I think that the person who really is that for me was Austin Idol.
Right.
Walking up to Austin Idol and introducing myself. Austin was aware of me because I had been on his podcast before, but it's pretty well publicized that Austin Idol was in the very first match I ever saw, very first wrestling match I ever watched.
Right.
And I think that it was in huge part because of Austin Idol that I fell in love with wrestling. So to get to meet Austin Idol was definitely, and thank him. That was more the important part. Like, not just meeting him, but thanking him, saying, hey, like, it's all these years later, I still love pro wrestling. Thank you for being the gateway to that.
Yeah.
Um, and then I I will say that being at EmPowerrr and being in the dressing room and finding out how amazingly kind Awesome Kong was incredible.
Yeah,
There's
I've,
a
I've
crackling,
heard
and I
such
do
nice
not know
things about her.
I don't know where this crackling is coming from. Do you hear it?
I can hear a little crackling.
All right, I just wanted to make sure. I don't know. I don't think it's
It might just be Zoom. It has done this before. I won't worry too much. I'll clear it up in post edit. It's fine.
okay. So, Awesome Kong was so amazing backstage. She was brought into EmPowerrr as almost a complete surprise to everyone. And I say almost complete surprise, other than like the biggest names on that show, the Mickeys, the Gales, the presumably the Jazzes, Deborah Medusa.
Yeah.
Those people, I'm assuming, knew about Kong joining us, but for the rest of us, nobody knew. And I remember we were all gathered around. God, this is like so breaking kayfabe, but I think it's also important story to tell. Like, we knew how important that night was and how historic that night was, and we did not have the ability to watch. There was no television or anything like that, so we did not have the ability to watch the show from where we were, because to get to the stage or the ring, you had to go up 2 flights of stairs, down a hallway, up another ramp, and then out onto the stage into the arena.
Right.
It's the Coruscant Ballroom, the Chase Ballroom is huge, and there's a labyrinth below it. So we did not want to miss. Like, normally during a show, talent will gather at what we call Gorilla. That's right where you go through we can peek through the curtains and stuff. There just was no room. So, and so instead of doing that, Kiera Hogan, God bless her, I love Kiera Hogan. Kiera Hogan ordered the pay-per-view on Fight TV, and we were watching it on her phone. So everybody's gathered around her iPhone, like all the heads, like watching. And then all of a sudden, behind us, we hear this voice, this tiny voice, because Kong has a tiny voice. she was like, "Hi, everybody," and everybody's head whips, and just a collective gasp because it was Kong, and incredible. Delightful. She insisted. I'm so sorry, I've got this cough. Insisted on taking a photo with every single performer on the show.
Oh,
Insisted.
she sounds like such a sweetheart. But I can't imagine that voice coming from Kong though. Like awesome Kong, and then that sweet voice comes out of her.
Have you never heard her
I've
speak?
never not legit. I've
Not
heard her
as
do a
Kia,
promo,
not
but
as
never.
not, right.
Yeah.
Her actual natural voice is so, "Hi everybody, it's Kong." It's very like this.
Oh.
And she and I ultimately went upstairs to catch a breather, and she kind of wasn't familiar because, like I said, it's a labyrinth. So I'm like getting ready to walk out of the locker room, and she was immediately drawn to me, which I was beyond flattered about. And she was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm gonna go catch a breath of fresh air outside." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know how to get there, kid. Would you mind if I came with you?" I was like, "Awesome, Kong. You can do anything you want." So, and that's why also, if you look on my if you scour through my social media, she also said to me, "I had the strangest request, but after the show, could we get a picture of each other with each other, comparing our booties?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, you literally, we can get a picture of anything you want. You're awesome, Kong." So yeah, incredible.
So it sounds like it's been a whirlwind for you. I guys was just say as well. I think it's genius. You know, getting the stream on Fight TV. I think what a world we live in, where you can be on the show but also stream it in the back so you can see what's happening outside. I think that's a genius hack.
But at the same time, it was like, part of me was like, "Damn, we didn't think about this. We didn't put a
Exactly.
TV in here. We didn't put a TV in here for the." So, but the interesting thing was, like, at Chase, there was also two locker rooms, like a men's locker room,
Hmm.
which was on a different side of the labyrinth, and the women's locker room, which, for all you heterosexuals out there, I was in the women's locker room. So, but nevertheless, it was like, I was like, "Man, we should have just gotten a freaking TV in here and we could have been watching," because it is legitimately down like 2 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, last time you came on, the time before, there's always been something which you said, well, next time we speak, this is going to happen, or I'm currently doing this. In the next few months, you've mentioned what you're doing with your tag team. That's awesome. But what else can we expect from Pollo Del Mar in the next few months? When you come back on, I'm hoping they come true. So let us know, what are we in store for in the next few months?
yeah, like you said earlier, you do not believe about manifesting, and I absolutely do believe in
Right.
manifesting. I tell my following on social media to speak it into existence. Like,
Yeah.
that's, I say that all the time. Speak it into existence, and I believe that. So, um, some things that I'm hoping to speak into existence. I would love to, and that are big goals of mine for 2022. I definitely want to return to NWA. I specifically hope that I get to play some kind of a role in the Crockett Cup. The Crockett Cup is coming up on March 18th and 19th in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm optimistic that that will happen. There's also some other opportunities which I don't want to like jinx that are in play with NWA, and I'm very, very excited about that. So, looking forward to that. But then another big thing for me is I would like to have some kind of a role with Impact. Like, I'm a big fan of Impact Wrestling, and I think because of some of their wackier storytelling devices, I think that I could fit in there so well. I
Yeah.
think I could fit in there so well. I would love to be like, how we did the reveal that Sue Young is pregnant or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to be Sue Young's baby, like a fully grown adult
Amazing.
baby. I think it'd be hilarious. Or I was trying to like be part of Swingers Palace, and unfortunately, Swingers Palace ended because they were moving to Vegas from Nashville, so they no longer needed that gimmick. But that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. But one of the things that I'm most kind of focused on really is beginning to branch out and check off places that I've worked, like
Yeah.
states that I've worked in, um, companies that I've worked in, and it's happening really quickly.
Countries?
So, what countries? I would love.
Countries.
I absolutely reached out to when I was sending out our resume. I sent out stuff to Canada, Australia, the UK. I would love to be able to travel abroad, and I do think that there is a really interesting. I got approached by a Canadian promotion about this incredibly interesting story slash angle slash I don't even know what to call it, because it's a whole it goes beyond just they have this really crazy concept. I'll say that. They have this great concept that I was super intrigued by. And I think that that could be coming up as well. So just a lot in the works. And sometimes I ask myself, like, how in the absolute hell are you able to do and accomplish all of these things?
Yeah.
It's like, to break the kayfabe of it, it's mind-numbing, mind-blowing that this is happening for me. It's incredible, jaw-dropping. My mom is constantly being like, oh my gosh, just like more, magical things happening for you. And it is very humbling. And then the kayfabe side is like, well, I'm the manager of Champions Pollo Del Mar.
Of course it was going to
this
happen. Yeah.
this is obviously destined. It was I don't need to manifest what is already written.
Yeah, I get that completely. It's kind of what we do with our interviews. We're like, right, let's manifest that we're gonna get Roman Reigns at the end of 2022. Who knows? It might happen. But believers,
Sure.
we don't need the Roman Reigns to enjoy doing this. We enjoy speaking to you, everyone that we speak to, including yourself. The fourth time, like I said, I think you've been on. This is your fourth time.
I don't know if it's a third or fourth, but
You best believe you're coming on again. That's what I'm trying to say.
Of course, I love that.
So yeah, before we do wrap up, let everyone know where they can find you. I know you've got all of your social medias. Do you have a TikTok yet, or is that still work
Oh my
in
gosh,
progress?
I'm not really that interested in TikTok. I do have a TikTok. I never use it. It's got like
You would blow up on TikTok. I guarantee it. You would blow up on TikTok.
I don't know. I just
You've got the
I mean,
personality.
I know, but that's what they said on Twitch too. And like my Twitch channel is doing really well, and I enjoy that. I don't think I've reached that tipping point of blowing up, but it's happening, right? You can find me at twitch.tv/Pollo Del Mar. My favorite place to interact with fans of pro wrestling is on Twitter. That's the Glamazon PDM. If you want to watch my life in photos, check me out on Instagram, instagram.com/Pollo Del Mar fans.
I don't know how you remember all that. I really don't. Like, I struggle
I
enough with.
I needed to have been smarter and Callum and gotten one. Every single thing I have has got a different freaking URL, and it pisses me off at this point.
I realized last time we were doing your socials on the description, I was like, every single one of them was different, but we got there in the end. I'm trying to get us just ringsiders for everything, but it's not working out too well so far.
So at this point, I would like to go back. I would like to go and change this stuff. At least maybe just like make everything Pollo Del Mar fans, right? Like that'd be easier.
Yeah.
But so much of the stuff that has been out there for years has the others in it.
It's
so
too
it's
late
like,
to change now.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But Pollo, thank you so much again for joining us. And like I said, can't wait to get you back on in the future. But until then, Pollo Del Mar, we've been Ringsiders. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.